This is Maz Amjad, and you are watching my YouTube channel, 15 Minutes with Maz. Today we have another guest. We will ask some questions about her journey into United States. How did she manage to come to United States on a Fulbright scholarship? And we will ask some more questions about writing an essay and how did she manage to complete all the documents. So I will begin this conversation by requesting you to introduce yourself. And once again, thank you so much for having us today.
Of course. So, hello everyone. I am Meher. I'm a second year PhD student at the McComb School of Business here at UT Austin. So, I did my master's on Fulbright a couple of years ago, and that was my first introduction to the US. Yeah, it's been nice.
Thank you so much once again, Meher, for coming and having a conversation with me today. Can you please walk us through your journey specifically from the very beginning to end of your Fulbright scholarship?
Sure. Seems like a lifetime ago, but let me try to recall. So I believe I started this preparation when I was in my third year of undergrad, and I was aiming to go. So I started this, you can say, 2 years before I actually wanted to come to the US. So 2014 is when I started preparation, early mid 2014, and then 2016 is when I actually came.
Can you please tell us what are the required documents for Fulbright?
Okay. So once you start preparing, or once you set your mind to applying for the Fulbright program, I think it's you should be mindful of what documents you need. And the first one is the GRE. I mean, in terms of requirements, right? So you need your GRE for sure, and you need your GRE before you apply for the Fulbright program. So you cannot take it after you need it with the application. Okay, so I'm talking of documents that you would need at the application stage, without which your application is incomplete. Right, so that's one. You need your GRE. You need 3 letters of recommendation. So that's another one. You need your personal statement, you need your study objectives, you need your O and A level / metric FSC scores. Um, and then if your transcript is available at the time, you need your transcript, and later on your degree as well. So for me, I can personally tell that I applied in my senior year. So I applied in the final year of my undergrad. So I was in my final semester, so I did not have my transcript. I only gave them a provisional transcript, but I still had to submit something. So I gave them my transcript up to the 7th semester. So that's what I did. And degree, of course, became available after I graduated. So these are the documents that are needed. So broadly speaking, once again, you need your OA level, metric FSC, you need your GRE, you need your undergrad transcript, your degree whenever it's available, your yeah, GRE, yeah. I think that covers it.
So in terms of timeline, can you please tell us what is a typical timeline for Fulbright?
Right. I'm grateful that he asked the timeline question, because that brings another point to my mind, that in the age of digital media, I think please keep yourself updated through the USCFP page. They make all important announcements through that. So every year they change the application deadline. So I think this year they pulled it back to February. February 28th was the deadline. The year I applied, it was May, May 14th or May 15th. And they've taken it back month by month. So went from May 14th to like April, and then March, and now it's February. So just follow that page if you want to apply for Fulbright, so that you know. So in a typical year, so I'll give my own example. When I applied back when May 2015 was when I applied, and I joined the Fulbright program in uh, in the fall of 2016. So almost takes a year and a half. So this is not a scholarship where I apply, like if I apply today, like February 28th was the deadline, and I will be going in September this year. This takes time, right? So the entire year is the timeline that it is basically holds true of the Fulbright program. So what happens in that year? I think it's also important to mention. So when you do submit your application, February 28th was the deadline this year. Then what they do is they start reviewing applications. So they initially do some sorting, and then they start reviewing applications sometime later this year. So they call in a bunch of reviewers who are actually former Fulbright scholars, and the Fulbright scholars are called in. They review statements, personal statements, study objectives, and then they make a recommendation that that these are people. There's a system of how those applications are evaluated, and then the Fulbright, the USCFP, so United States Education Foundation in Pakistan, they make the call of who is going to be invited for the interview. So the reviewers don't make that. The Fulbright committee decides on the basis of the comments that the reviewers have given, right? So you do that, and roughly, so in my year, we got calls, interview calls in August, but I suspect that this year, because the applications closed early, you might be getting interview calls, I imagine, in even June. That's my guess, right? So when you get interview calls, and again, USCFP Instagram page is very regular with updates. So they will tell that now the calls have started, and they will also tell that now the calls have ended. So don't keep waiting for a call, but they'll give an update on that page. Right. So if you, depending on whether you've gotten, and the interview calls continue for at least 3 weeks or 2 weeks by what I remember. It may be shorter now, it may be longer. That this is just my own memory. So once you have the interview call and you do go give the you do go for the interview. The interview is usually the interview is in Islamabad actually. So yeah, you go to Islamabad. It's at the USCFP office. And the interview is with two former Fulbright scholars in case of masters, and one person from who's from the Fulbright Commission. So the one person who's a representative of USCFP. So there are three people in total if you're applying for a master's scholarship, and there's one person who's just administrating. So four people in total. And three would ask substantive questions. So by substantive questions, I mean your topic related questions, your essay related questions. And one will just be observing, that how are you a good fit for the program in terms of your skills and what you're saying. So yeah, when you give that interview, then I think in a month maximum, you get to know whether you're accepted into the program. And I think once you're accepted in the program, that's when things actually pick up pace. And then Fulbright will keep for the next whatever months till fall of the next year. They will keep asking you for documents. So I remember the first set of documents after I got the acceptance letter, of the offer letter, that hey, we are extending the offer of the Fulbright scholarship to you. They asked me for, I believe, my official TOEFL score. And also, sorry, I forgot to mention that because I hadn't taken TOEFL, Fulbright asked me to take TOEFL at the time of the interview. So, like between the time I got the call for the interview and the interview, I think there was 1 or 2 weeks. I took, or maybe after, they give you a month in total to take the TOEFL. So yeah, you have to take the TOEFL as well. And the good part is that the Fulbright gives you a voucher for it, so they cover the cost of the exam, which is nice. So I suggest that if you don't need TOEFL otherwise, and if you're just doing this for Fulbright, maybe wait till you get and if you get an interview call, they're going to cover the cost. That's helpful to know. The application itself doesn't cost anything. You're submitting everything to a portal online. Again, USCFP portal, even your recommendations, your referees also submit everything online. Okay, coming back to where I was, which is that what happens once you do get the acceptance call, you do submit a set of documents initially. I do not remember the details of the documents, but they're pretty clear, like maybe CNIC and your official certificates and so on and so forth. You send them via post, and then sometime later they ask you for you've already, by the way, given your preference for universities. You've indicated that at the stage of your application. So then sometime later, they ask you that this is our plan of action. So these are the universities placement plan. These are the universities that we are going to be applying to on your behalf. So they give you that sometime later after acceptance or, offer letter. Um, they give you that, and then in November, December is when university deadlines close. So that's when they start applying to universities on your behalf. So I think it's very important for me here to mention that you do not contact any university on your behalf. Fulbright is doing everything for you. And please, please, please do not make the mistake of contacting universities. If you know that Fulbright has applied to a university on your behalf, say it's they've applied to UT Austin on your behalf, and you're impatient that what has UT Austin said, what is the answer, and you contact an admissions officer, that really jeopardizes your application. So please don't do that. Wait for USCFP to tell you. They will tell you everything. Right, so they apply to universities on your behalf sometime November, December, and then you start getting you start getting the news of where what acceptances you're getting. They apply to three universities, actually four universities on your behalf in case of a master's program, and five universities on your behalf in case of a doctoral program. And which is why I think it's also befitting to mention that at the stage of the application, they have a portion that, what are your preferred universities? Please think about those universities mindfully. What most people do is they either leave those universities blank, or they mention the best universities, or they mention really poorly ranked universities. I feel look at your GRE score, talk to people and ask them that, this is my score, this is my GPA, what universities should I apply to? And, given that they know about a particular field, and given that they know universities in that space, I think be mindful of that and very strategically choose the university that you mentioned in your application. If they're well, if they're well grounded, and if they feel that the universities are a good fit for your score, as well as your overall performance, then they will most likely just apply to those universities on your behalf. Say you've done really poorly on your GRE, really poorly on your GPA, but because your essays are really good, you have gotten the scholarship. Now, when Fulbright goes and looks at your preferred universities, they see Harvard University, they see Brown, and they say that this person will not get into Brown, so they change those universities, and that's what really hurts a lot of people. And I mean, it's just common sense, right? Do you think that you'd be able to get? Maybe you can get, but one should be reasonable, is what I'm saying. One should be reasonable about what universities you kind of given. So you do that, they apply to universities on your behalf, and I think sometime in February you will get February, March, April, you'll get the final intimation of where you were placed. I think in my case, I was placed April 28th was when I was placed into university. So you're placed into a university, then Fulbright calls you in for something they call as the pre-departure orientation, which is actually the most fun part. You get to see Fulbrighters from all over the country placed into, 150, 160. It's a wonderful, wonderful community. It's a wonderful cohort. I think it's one of my fondest memories of the Fulbright program, and gave me some really, really good friends. There's the pre-departure orientation sometime in June, or maybe earlier, and then they apply for the visa. So they ask you to submit a certain set of documents, then you have to go to Islamabad for the visa, or Karachi. If you're from Karachi, they'll send you to the Karachi US Embassy office. If you're from closer to Islamabad, then they'll call you into Islamabad. They again pay for that bus ticket. So if you have gone by bus, they will pay for that. They will pay for your meals. So the great part about a Fulbright program is that they will pay for everything. You go for the pre-departure orientation, the bus you take, they will cover the cost. I mean, it's wonderful. It's great in that way. Yeah, you go for the visa interview. You appear for the visa on your own. And I feel like Fulbright students get a slight protocol in that sense. But whereas normal people, I mean, normal applicants, their cars are parked somewhere else. They go on coasters to the embassy. But for Fulbright students, you don't go on coasters. Your coaster parks in front of the embassy, at least back in the day. I'm not sure how it is now, but yeah, it's a very streamlined process for Fulbright students. You're actually given protocol. And I think it's also important to mention here that whether your visa is accepted or not has got don't think that because you have Fulbright, you have a higher chance of getting a visa. I mean, you do, but I saw people in front of me I mean, people in my cohort whose visas were put into admin processing. So that can happen, but that should not, disappoint you, because that's just their normal process. And after checking, they'll kind of find out that nothing's wrong. That's the overall timeline. So after the visa, most people start their programs in August or September, and then they arrange the ticket for you. They ask you your preferred dates, your preferred city, and they send you the ticket, and there you go.
Once again, I just want to add one point here. It's like very emotional and sentimental when you know, like, oh, you are accepted in Fulbright, right, cohort. And then I just want to mention here is that if you belong to any other country, it does not mean that these rules are not applicable to you. I'm sure if you belong to Germany, for example, and then you are selected in Fulbright, you would be getting the same thing that someone belongs to Pakistan is getting, someone belongs to India is getting, someone belongs to Bangladesh is getting, someone belongs to Egypt is getting. So regardless of your nationality, if you are accepted into Fulbright, I think Fulbright gives the same privileges to their scholars, no matter which country you belong to.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I think it's my community. So I did my Fulbright at Purdue, and we had, I think our Fulbright community at Purdue was over 80 scholars from all over the world. So I think Purdue has one of the biggest Fulbright communities, as well as Georgia Tech, I believe. But yeah, you get the same privileges. Absolutely, you're dealt with in exactly the same way. Your stipends are pretty similar. Oh, also, in case I forgot to mention, the Fulbright program is completely funded. So by completely funded, I don't mean that they are only paying for your tuition. They're also giving you a monthly stipend, and the monthly stipend is enough for you. People save from that stipend. They also send money back home. I traveled a lot. I traveled up to 30 states, 31 states in the US during Fulbright, all with that money. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
In terms of accommodation, does Fulbright also cover accommodation costs?
And they give you a stipend, so it's up to you wherever you want to stay. So they give you a living stipend, much like they do in other programs, other funded programs.
And in terms of insurance,
They cover health insurance, yes. Yes, they cover health insurance. They pay that, so you don't have to pay it out of your stipend. Every year they send you, every semester or maybe every year, they send you extra money that buy this insurance for yourself. So you have one that is, university associated, and they have another one which is called Seven Corners. So they give you that, so you're covered. You're covered in that sense. Yeah.
what is the name of the other insurance you mentioned?
Seven Corners, I believe.
Okay.
Again, back in the day, maybe it's different now, but yeah, they cover insurance. They cover. Yeah.
And in terms of, uh, there might be a scholar who might have a, so there might be a scholar who might have a family
Uh-huh.
who would like to go with them.
Uh-huh.
In that case, how does Fulbright mission
Right.
support them?
Okay. So, for people who have families, or by family, I mean partner as well as kids, or just a partner, in that case, what happens is that they go on a visa which is known as a J2 visa. So the students themselves go on J1, which is an exchange visa, and their partners go on J2. So J2 scholars can work. So that's a good thing, that if your partner does come, they can get any job in the US and work, which is nice.
We will make a separate video specifically on visa and J2 categories and insurance and all those. So I would like to ask you one last question. Is there any recommendation or any advice you would like to offer?
In terms of timeline, um, I um, I would just say that if you do want to apply for the Fulbright scholarship, which is a great scholarship, or any other scholarship, not just Fulbright, always start ahead of time. So if I wanted to go in May 2016, sorry, in fall 2016, I started preparing in May 2014. So almost took me 2 years. Most people take a year. Year is also fine. But it takes time to take the GRE. It takes time to write statements. It takes a lot of time running after professors, running after your colleagues, your bosses to get recommendations. So please plan out recommendations. So if I were to give a plan of action, I think start with the GRE, prepare the GRE straight off, like, get it done in 2, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. Then reach out to colleagues, reach out to any superior or professors for recommendations, because believe it or not, that is the most painstaking part. I've written recommendations and I've had students run after me, even though I try to be timely, but I think it just takes time. So run to professors ahead of time, give them at least 2 months margin. Tell them that, hey, this is, I'm applying for this, please don't report them at the last minute. So do that. And then in tandem, keep writing your statements. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you so much once again. And if you have any question regarding this video, or if you would like me to cover any other video on a specific topic, please feel free to comment below, or feel free to reach out if you have any question. And I will make a separate video to address that specific question if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Maz Amjad, and you are watching my YouTube channel, 15 Minutes with Maz. Today we have another guest. We will ask some questions about her journey into United States. How did she manage to come to United States on a Fulbright scholarship? And we will ask some more questions about writing an essay and how did she manage to complete all the documents. So I will begin this conversation by requesting you to introduce yourself. And once again, thank you so much for having us today.
Of course. So, hello everyone. I am Meher. I'm a second year PhD student at the McComb School of Business here at UT Austin. So I did my master's on Fulbright a couple of years ago, and that was my first introduction to the US. Yeah, it's been nice.
Thank you so much once again, Meher, for coming and having a conversation with me today. Can you please walk us through your journey specifically from the very beginning to end of your Fulbright scholarship?
Sure. Seems like a lifetime ago, but let me try to recall. So I believe I started this preparation when I was in my third year of undergrad, and I was aiming to so I started this, you can say, 2 years before I actually wanted to come to the US. So 2014 is when I started preparation, early mid 2014, and then 2016 is when I actually came. So when you think about the Fulbright scholarship, the first question that comes to mind is that what are the requirements for it? So the first thing that you should know is that it does require a GRE, it does require a personal statement, it does require study objectives, it requires 3 letters of recommendation, and it requires a transcript, of course, and a degree if you're later admitted to the program. So that those are the basic requirements. So once I had those basic requirements sorted out, I kind of prioritized in terms of what was most important. And I feel like the GRE is the biggest the GRE is the biggest stumbling block that I feel that everyone must, like, if you don't have a particular GRE score, your chances of being admitted into the program are lower. So I would recommend people to start with that. So I started with that. I started preparing for the GRE sometime in May, June 2014 till like August. August is when I took the exam. So kind of like 2, 3 months is the timeline for the GRE. Took the exam, and then I started thinking of what I wanted to write in my personal statement. So August 2014 is when I took the GRE, and then I actually applied for the Fulbright scholarship in May. So you can imagine that those are the months that it took me to write the statement, write the objectives. So that's the overall bird's eye view of what I did for the Fulbright program.